Hello, guys.
Hello.
I am LaTarsha, and I am hosting from Breaking the Silence, Healing the Pain. We're having roundtable talk talking about healing. And I am meeting with some awesome women, and I'm going to allow them the opportunity to introduce themselves. So we will start with you, Ty.
Hello, everyone. Hello, girl. I am so excited to be here. My name is Dr. Tylisha Johnson, and I am the Chief Strategist, CEO of Transcending Horizons Enterprises Business Strategy Agency, where I develop and deliver customized winning strategies to help everyone optimize their potential and soar beyond the limits in both their business and their life. I am excited about having this talk with everyone and getting to share my story of how I was able to heal from such a traumatic experience. I am the mother of two beautiful children. One is home with the Lord, went home to be with the Lord in 2011. He was 11 years old. He passed from leukemia. I was so blessed to have him though. And so I'm so glad to be able to share this journey with everyone. I'm blessed to have a 26-year-old daughter who is in graduate school in Pennsylvania. Awesome. And so thank you so much again for the opportunity to come and share my story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. So next we're gonna have Miss Lisa.
What? It's my turn. I'm Lisa Sunshine, as y'all know me. It's always good to be with like-minded women who are amazing in their own right and don't think it robbery to keep all of what they've learned to themselves. And so we are here to share. My perspective is from a mother of 7. I have an angel in heaven as well, passed away when he was 17. And as a blended family, that crisis looked very different. Looked very different from, I guess, maybe the normal family. But we graduated 7 children, the 7th being Kennedy, who graduated high school and college at the age of 17. So we flipped the script on some things because my first child I had in high school at 17 years old. So here I am, almost 31 years later, doing a very, very different thing with my life. So I'm blessed to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that and just giving us so much energy. And now we're going to introduce Shalon.
So my name is Shalon Barnett, and I'm the executive director of a nonprofit organization where I help women. Our number one focus is residential, so we provide housing for women, and currently we do women who are in recovery. I have 2 children in 2 generations. So I have a 22-year-old and then I have a 7-year-old. And I am actually very honored to be here. I am so grateful to God that even giving me this opportunity, but also working some things in my life so that I can help others.
So Breaking the Silence is a nonprofit organization that we started where we bring awareness to sexual abuse, because that's a hard topic to talk about, especially, you don't hear people talking about it in church. A lot of people don't want to come forth and talk about it because it's hard to talk about. Physical abuse and emotional abuse. And it all originated from the trauma that I went through as a child growing up, And as a child growing up, I went through a lot of trauma with sexual abuse. I went through some physical abuse. I went through a lot of emotional abuse. And I see how it caused so much pain in my life that it traveled from childhood all the way up to my adulthood. And I was at a breaking point. And then going to this breaking point, it allowed me to see that I was broken. I was married before, and my previous marriage, I'm now remarried. And in that marriage, I started seeing a lot of things in my character that I knew something was wrong. And I started going to a therapist that helped me to see I was a broken woman, and to look at my life today and what God is doing in my life. And God, I heard his voice and he told me, he said, you need to tell your story. And as I was telling my story, like the tears was just flowing. It took me so many years. I just came out and told my story about my childhood sexual abuse in 2016. We're in 2020.
4 years, yeah.
So what God did in my life from 2016 to now
Miraculous.
is miraculous.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm so grateful. God put it in my spirit that I needed to tell my story. So me and my best friends, we got together and we talked about how we were going to do this conference. And we did a conference and we named this organization Breaking the Silence, Healing the Pain. So this is what this is all about. And we will be having a conference on October the 10th so that women can hear how you break your silence. And so this is why I'm so grateful that you women came together with me and walk alongside of me so that we can talk about how we broke our silence. When did we realize we were broken? You know, and I want people to be able to see that when you are broken, God can heal you. You know, he can put those pieces back together again. But until we work on ourselves, we will just bleed all over everybody we come in contact with, like I did. You know, I bled on a lot of people, and I'm sorry.
Yes.
I am sorry
Yeah,
because I didn't know how broken I was,
Right.
you know. And then when I'm on it, looking back at all the things that I did, the decisions that I made, you know.
Our children
Yes.
can be a big part of that,
Absolutely.
who we bleed on first. As my children grew up, I have children in 2 decades as well. And as I tried to be authentic in my healing process, you know, my children started seeing different pieces of me. And so when you look at, as they get older, they have an opinion and they have a way of life that they're going to start. You don't want them to mimic what you did when you were broken.
Right.
So it is advantageous for us to heal and share our journey with our children and our family as much as possible, especially starting with our own children.
Breaking the silence, healing the pain, because it's absolutely in that order
Right.
that the healing can take place. That's the only way, really, the healing can really take place is to talk about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to break that silence.
Right.
So many times we mask it and we put on
Yeah.
different facades
Yeah.
and overachieving and working and just trying to make sure everything was perfect and everybody was taken care of and everything is in order. All the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and I'm at 120% all
Yeah.
the time.
Right.
But it was a mask.
Right.
I was simply just functioning. I was not actually living.
Yeah.
I was
Right.
not experiencing life.
Yeah.
Right.
And guess what? I didn't know until just last year. You talk about how new everything is for you and how fresh after the trauma of my son. I really didn't know that I wasn't living, that I wasn't experiencing life really. Right? I was breathing. I was existing.
Right.
You know, I was in a place of indifference, really.
Yes.
Nothing actually mattered.
Yeah.
But I made sure everybody knew. It was like, okay, you think that this is mattering to me. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
But I'm going
Right.
to do this because your impression of me and how you think about me, I cared about that, right?
Right.
And I didn't want you to see my brokenness.
Right.
I didn't want you to see my pain because I didn't feel like I was in a safe space to actually release that. So I masked.
Yeah.
Right.
I masked.
And then came the release.
Came the release.
And then came the release. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that piece, I think, is why Tarsha ended up moving forward with the conference. Because once you experience that level of peace and, you have these moments where you have epiphany after epiphany after epiphany of, man, I was in that dark place for that long.
Yes.
What I accomplished so much in that pause, because that's what I called, my experience. It was a very, very long pause. And if I was able to mitigate all these different changes and level up in this manner when I was merely existing, oh my God, look out.
Right.
Oh Lord, have mercy. Because I'm getting ready to walk in my purpose for real, for real.
Oh yeah.
The world can't even handle this.
Right.
Right? Because the sunshine was no longer hidden by the clouds, right? We knew it was daylight. My God, today. We knew it was daylight, but there's something about the sunshine and the vitamin D in our lives.
Right.
When we can get a hold of that, that's the freedom to share.
Right.
That is no longer shame and embarrassment, right? It's no longer family secrets. So when the sun can shine again, starting from within, what happens? The sun does not ask permission to shine.
No.
And you don't ask permission to heal.
But it's a good feeling, because basically when I got to that point where I was like, okay, I understand why I did what I was doing.
Yeah.
And everything that I went through, and I started seeing those pieces coming together, and it was just such a good feeling. And you want everybody around you to feel that same feeling that you feel, and it doesn't happen that way. But for me, it was just a release.
Yeah.
Like you can't tell my story. I'll share it before, so I don't use it anymore as you can't hurt me with it.
Right.
And I think sometimes people try to bring up, well, this happened to you, or that happened to you, or you did this. I just shut them down. You're talking about something when I was trying to figure out myself.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's not who I am today.
That's
so,
right.
Yes. It is.
And I do know that people try to hold you in that bondage. They try to hold you into that person that you used to be, and you are no longer that person. And I know for me, people try to hold me to that person that I used to be, and I'm no longer that person. I left her a couple of years ago, because every year I'm getting better and better, and I refuse to be held in that bondage. One of the questions that I had was, what emotions were you feeling when you were experiencing your brokenness?
I think I would have to, because when I was in it, I was just like you, an overachiever. I wanted to make sure everybody was okay. And my thing was really an issue with things that were said to me as a child. And so I lived my life trying to prove to someone who's not even living that I'm not what you said I was going to be. And so the feelings that it was over because it's like you have to try to be there for everybody. And what I used to do to kind of cope with that is I used to go to jail every year, once a year. And that was just a break for me. Those 24, 48 hours, just to be away, that no one's calling me, asking me for anything, no one needing me to do this or be there. The first time it happened, my friend used my name. And so when she did that, I remember getting pulled over with another friend, and they said, you have a warrant for your arrest. And I said, for what? I didn't do anything. And I had never been to the probation office or anything, but what happened, I was arrested. And when I was there, it was so peaceful. I could read a book. I wasn't in the hustle anymore. I didn't have to, no one was calling me. And so it was like, I don't know, I just got used, it just was a release for me. And so when I got out, it just became something I did every year. I would do stupid stuff, drive with suspended license. I knew the system of how many times you can actually do it before you get, you get arrested. But it just became okay to do, because it was like, that was how I got away to read a book. Because when I was out, I was hustling because I got to, help my mom, or I got to help somebody. I got to do something for somebody. And so that was my release.
And healing wasn't a part of that plan.
No, I didn't even, honestly, it wasn't until the last time I got arrested was something serious. And so that was my sit down time, because like I said, I went in every year, but it was 24, 48 hours at the most. So the last time that I got arrested, they actually put it on the news. So what happened then was everybody in my small town saw it. And so now it's like everything they thought about me anyways, obviously it's true.
But it wasn't.
It was true.
Okay, talk to me, girl.
It was true. I didn't know, so that's why you have to be careful what you say to your kids, because you'll plant something and they're not actually, you think they're not listening, or they're not, but I had to live up to what they said. And so it was
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
basically, yes. And so after that happened, I ended up, because I didn't know the system as well as I thought I did. So that time I ended up taking probation, and within that I still, was getting pulled over because everything I had did in my past caught up with me. Every year I was going back for those license, it all kind of started hitting the fan. And so that last time I went for a violation of probation, I spent 19 days, and that was the turning point in my life.
Turning point.
Wow.
Because that was the
Turning
first
point.
time I sat still. I was forced to sit still that many days to really see how did I end up here.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like in those 19 days that was God talking to you and trying to get your attention?
Yes, yes. Because a year before this even happened, I heard God calling me all those years. I heard him calling my name all those years. But I was so into what I had going on that I didn't take the time to do it. And actually a year before that happened, when I ended up on the news, that was the point where I sat down and said, today I just can't do this anymore. I was so ashamed about what other people thought about me that I wanted to give up. But I always share with people when I say that was my 1 Corinthians 10:13 moment, because that was when, in that moment when I was singing I wanted to end my life, God gave me a vision of who I was going to be. And I didn't pay attention to it then. And then when that year happened in 19 days, that's when I actually sat down, and it gave me time to think. And really, I wanted to know how I ended up in jail so many times. Why was I doing that?
Right.
What was broken there and honestly, that was in 2008 when that happened. And I just recently, last year, figured out why.
This is so good. I just, when we have opportunities to spend time on ourselves, not necessarily to look in the mirror, but to look within our hearts and look at the rhythm of life and the decisions we've made. You know what I'm saying? There's a pattern there. And, the question was, what emotions were you going through when you figured out something needed to change? I just kept being disappointed in my surroundings. And I started looking at the fact that, I was a young adult, even though I graduated high school pregnant, there were so many wounds there. There were so many wounds. And it was just vital, that I stay the course. Like, if I make a wrong turn here, I'm going to break. I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to break, and I can't lose my child. So I've got to do whatever I need to do to survive. Thriving was not even a part of my vocabulary. And so, graduating high school pregnant, there's a lot of negativity surrounding any teenage girl who, of course, isn't married, in high school pregnant. And when I look back over my life, when I was in the midst of therapy, my therapist said, what decisions can you make now to move your life forward? And I had to really think about that, because it wasn't about decisions, to just be alive and to make it. It was to thrive at that point. And so I said, I don't want to be disappointed in myself. I don't want to do that, because the people around me at that time, other than my brother, who was very instrumental in my life, there was just a lot of hurt and family trauma. And when you don't have someone that you can call on, or a role model that you can look to, you're going to make decisions that don't make sense. And you're going to make decisions that are not for your betterment, And so, let me survive. And when it came down to it, I had to look at my surroundings, and there was no one in my immediate surroundings that I could call on and say, come to me, I am here, I'll be your helper, I'll be what you need. Later on, of course, learning that was all because they didn't have anyone there for them. No one, that I was aware of knew how to place a different trajectory on their own lives. Take command of your own life. Take authority of the life that God gave, And so once I understood more as time went on what God said about me and the authority that only God could give me, I knew better the one song that they used to sing in church when I was a little girl, "This joy that I have, The world can't give it and the world can't take it away. Oh my God. I understood that in a whole new way. And so I talk to my clients now about having their peace meter and their joy meter on high, not their emotions, things of that nature. Because when you take authority for who you are, you also have to take joy in the good things, and you have to deal with the consequences of the bad. And so I said, I need more joy and I need more celebration moments than I need, did I do that again? Oh, did I repeat that? I hated that about them. I don't want to do that too. And so the emotions were disappointment, considerable amounts of disappointment and hopelessness. And I got sick of it. I got sick and tired and sick and tired and sick and tired of being hopeless. That's how I knew then, okay, there's no one around me. My therapist said, who told you you needed somebody?
I wore a mask, going back to what you were saying. I wore a mask all my life. I've always wanted to be this perfect, sweet person in everybody's eyes. But behind closed doors, I was a total different person. I was mean, I was, not the most loving person, but in everybody's eyes, I was always this loving person. Oh, call Tasha, she'll do it. Yes, I'll do it, because I needed your approval. I needed the approval, and it wasn't until I started going to therapy and realizing my character, and it all was related to my childhood trauma. I did not realize that all of that related to that. But when I took back that power and said, I am who God says I am, I'm a free woman.
Yes.
So, and I feel free. I feel really free. I don't feel like I need the approval of other people. I can make my decisions. Now, do I bounce them off at least every now and then? Absolutely. And Shalon and Ty, Alicia. So, you do want people in your life that can help and speak life into you and making sure that, you're on the right track and you are making the right decisions, but I don't really need a person's approval for that. I'm making a decision, but I'm asking now, like, what do you think about this? And you want close people, because you do need close friendships, in your life to speak truth to you and tell you when you're not doing the right, being on the right trip. Absolutely.
Yeah, for growth.
Yeah. So that is what helped me to realize my brokenness. Thanks for joining us at the table today. Check out our next episode on YouTube and follow us on social media.